Lindsey Mopper, John Scott here, as Lindsey has grown 3, 4, 5 inches here. Magic of television here. Bills, middle of the week practice as they prepare to face the Seattle Seahawks out west here. One of the main talking points we heard here from Sean McDermott early in the week and here today is the slow starts of this team. You certainly saw it against Tennessee. They had 18 yards of total offense in the first half. We've seen it against a lot of opponents here, even though the Bills are 5-2. Lindsey, what were you hearing from some of the players as to maybe the reason why and how they can remedy those issues?
Yeah, Josh Allen today after practice saying that it's not just an offense thing, it's not just a defense thing, it's happening on both sides of the ball. And after reviewing some tape and kind of going over it, he referred to it as self-inflicted wounds. These are things that maybe the other teams aren't necessarily doing to throw them off, but he feels like if they can clean up certain areas themselves, then they'll be much better off and getting off to better starts.
Sean McDermott saying the other day he called it execution while adding, hey, if I knew exactly how to fix this, we wouldn't be doing it. Certainly makes sense. Taron Johnson using it as it's a mentality thing. We have to just come out with a better mentality. Connor McGovern saying, hey, this probably falls in line with the execution thing of we're getting behind the sticks on first down, a 1-yard play, a 2-yard play, a loss, nothing, and then you're swimming upstream after that, and it really puts you in disadvantageous positions where the defense kind of knows what you're doing. Here's the good thing, though, Lindsey. Not only are they 5-2, but the other number of a 0 is where you want it, and that's with the interception column with Josh Allen. After a year ago, he led the league in throwing them.
Yeah, and today he said, he's taking pride in that, right? This is something that he was looking to improve the last couple of seasons, and this year he said he's taking it one day at a time, one play at a time, and really he said that it's coming down to just making the right decisions, right? He said half of the time it's that, and half of the time it can also be, having good luck. He said there's sometimes you throw a pass and maybe it should have been intercepted and didn't, and then other times someone gets a really great pick off of you. So it's a bit of that, and it's also, a situation where he's been working on this. He's been hoping to kind of improve in that category.
McGovern adding, it was a couple games ago, he remembers, Josh threw a ball away, and a couple plays later, they ultimately scored. So live to fight another day is something we hear not only Josh, but Sean McDermott and others say as well. On the offensive side of things, yeah, things still buzzing and focused on Amari Cooper. Starting today, his first full week of practice with the Bills. I asked a couple of the players, do you even simply notice in one extra practice here today that Amari feels more comfortable? They said, yeah, and that's only natural, while Taron Johnson adding, there's no rush here. He does not need to get super sped up here and get acclimated. And we saw in short order what he can do in a limited capacity.
Yeah, and, you make a great point about the no rush thing. I think, as we heard in his post-game press conference, that when did you find out that you were going to be playing in that game? He found out on the phone when they called him. So I think he was probably feeling a little bit of pressure. Obviously, you're making your Bills debut in Highmark Stadium. Definitely, you're feeling the heat a bit. Now this week he can have a full week. Josh Allen saying he is a true professional. He's just been enjoying getting to know him, kind of getting to know how each other works on the field as well. Amari Cooper I saw after practice as well, getting some extra reps in here. So I definitely think he's taking a deep breath and taking it one day at a time now.
And the Keon Coleman factor, and maybe the others, the ripple effect here after Amari Cooper himself is, I think, going to be as critical as the production you get from the wide receiver himself. Coleman, a career game in Amari Cooper's debut here, and he spoke with the media after practice today.
Yeah, and we were kind of asking him about what does it mean to you to be able to be a rookie and be in those positions that are, high pressure situation. Him and Ray Davis, who he says is actually his roommate on the road. They've gotten to know each other a little bit. But, and he said it means a lot for them to put their trust in him to go out there and prove that, he belongs on this team and he belongs to be one of the top receivers as well.
As we pivot over to the defensive side of things, a good point in time to discuss the injuries. Terrell Bernard was actually excused for a personal matter today, but Sean McDermott adding he is still day-to-day with the ankle injury. Encouraging news that it's in the day-to-day rather than the week-to-week realm as well. Curtis Samuel was not out there today. Dawson Knox was not out there with an ankle injury. DeJuan Smoot not out there as well. Anyone I'm forgetting? I feel like there was one more.
I think you're good there. One note, maybe something to watch, but then again, after practice, he said he's fine. Taylor Rapp kind of getting a little bit of attention. It looked like maybe on his ankle. But again, talked about it after practice, said it was nothing.
And Dorian Williams is someone who left, was probable to return. He was out there just normal. Way to go there. So it's encouraging that, again, Terrell Bernard, I think, is the real key there on defense as the week progresses to see what happens with him. We already discussed the struggling starts, as I'm struggling to talk here. But Seattle's offense is one that is good. Geno Smith resurrecting his career out there in Seattle. Kenneth Walker III has burst out this season, not only as a runner, but also as a passer. Pass catcher. We'll see about the status of DK Metcalf. They have Tyler Lockett in the backstage of his career, Jackson Smith and Jigba. Lindsay, this is an offense that the Bills really have to be on their P's and Q's to try to maintain.
Yeah, and Taylor Rapp talked about their offense quite a bit today, saying that the biggest thing is they're going to have to focus on neutralizing them and also limiting those explosive plays. He said a lot of teams in the league, like the Seahawks, kind of, rely on those big explosive plays, and so that's something that the defense this week, specifically looking at the Seahawks game, is focusing on.
Caught up with Dwayne Carter, who has really made an impact recently in particular, and says he feels more comfortable as the season goes on, which is natural, and a key to that for him, not trying to do too much. As a rookie, you would think, hey, I'm getting more playing time, whether it's Ed Oliver's hurt or Daquan Jones is maybe having a vet rest day. That was the other one, like he did today here as well. And he's not doing that. He's allowing the game to come to him. You saw him with that fantastic, right in the thick of that fourth down stop on Sunday's win against the Tennessee Titans here. The defense has to, in the slow start realm, they have to be on it from the jump because this is a team, explosives and at home in a very hostile environment that I think is going to be critical. And some of the guys, I don't know if the ones you spoke to, they talked about you're going across the country, a West Coast game, body maybe a little out of it, and you got the 12th man they're going up against. Yeah,
and it's actually a homecoming for Taylor Rapp, which I was not aware of. And he talked about how familiar he is with kind of going into such a hostile environment. But then again, he said, that this team looks forward to that. They look forward to kind of going in and proving themselves in a loud environment. So, yeah, I mean, it should be interesting. And again, long road trip out west.
Now, I love throwing you curveballs, Lindsay. The big news here across the league was DeAndre Hopkins has been traded to the Kansas City Chiefs. I want to get your thoughts on another wide receiver trade, and of course this going to what many believe is the top team standing in the way of the Bills and reaching the Super Bowl.
John, I actually don't really – I can't say that – I think it's a good move for the Chiefs. I do, because they needed some help in the receiver position. I don't think it's obviously as big of a deal. Let's say if we saw Cooper Kupp go to the Chiefs, I think maybe everyone would be panicking a little bit more. DeAndre Hopkins, obviously, when he got traded to the Titans, that was a big talking point, and we weren't really sure what we were going to see out of him there. Not really sure if it's going to be a make-or-break situation in Kansas City, but they certainly needed the help, and who knows, maybe it'll just be kind of a scheme for him that works out a little bit better, but I'm not necessarily thrown off by the news.
I will just say this. DeAndre Hopkins is still a fine wide receiver. He is absolutely better than the guys they likely are going to have to throw out alongside him as well. Juju Smith-Schuster is hurt. I'm not even a big fan of him, but you lose Rashee Rice. Hollywood Brown probably not coming back. We've seen the passing game. Patrick Mahomes has not been great, even though he's an MVP frontrunner. The stats just aren't there. Their defense is really helping them. Isaiah Pacheco's out, so I think any sort of weapon that they could fit with their economics is going to make them a more formidable opponent.
Yeah, and relying on the rookie, of course, right? Xavier Worthy. I think he was a big talking point kind of going into the season with the draft and, the Bills letting them get him and everything. I think he's done well as a rookie on the team, but it's hard to kind of put that much pressure on him on a two-time defending Super Bowl champion team.
And lo and behold, after Keon Coleman's big game, the numbers between that rookie and Xavier Worthy, the one everyone around town was losing their minds over that Kansas City ultimately drafted and the Bills did not, they're pretty even so far through 6-7 weeks here of their early portion of their careers. Pump the brakes here. You just don't worry too much about it here. Bills at the Seahawks, 4 o'clock on Sunday because they'll be out west. With Lindsay Mopper, I'm John Scott for Channel 2 Sports.